Hello. I'm going to continue from the last episode part, whatever you want to call it, but I'm also just going to add this little bit in which might take up most of this one. I've been trying very hard to not talk too much because I can talk a lot and I try to be very descriptive, I think, when I'm talking and say way too much. It's not necessary, but sometimes it is to explain certain things. And I feel like I just kind of got straight into a bit of, with my last relationship with my ex-husband, how it started to go bad kind of thing, or it changed. And I just wanted to backtrack a little bit. So I did want to say that I have said previously, growing up, I felt, drawn to spiritual stuff, and I believed in fairies and unicorns and magic and all the beautiful, amazing things. And I was just someone who I felt so much love for people and for life and for nature and animals and just for everything. And I feel like because of the way that I was treated and what I went through, that just, slowly, bit by bit, that was chipped away at kind of thing. And it just made me not believe in things, and it made me change my views or lose a certain way of thinking, that innocent thinking, that pure thinking, I guess. Pure heart kind of thinking, I think, is what I'm trying to say. And I didn't believe in love. I didn't believe that you could fall in love. I didn't believe in the whole, fairy tale romance. I just believed it was all bullshit, being honest. All fake, all phony. And that's just how I felt because of what had happened in my life. And I didn't mention either that in the 6 months I had been split up from my ex, my son's father, to the time where I met my now ex-husband. There was a 6-month period, and I had mentioned that I was dating in that time. But I didn't mention this, and I just wanted to quickly mention it. I don't want to say too much about it, but it's just part of my story. My ex I was with for 13 years, as I said, from 16 turning 17. So I didn't have a lot of experience with men, with dating, with intimacy, etc. And it's very hard because of previous trauma. It's very hard for me to be intimate, to want to be that way with someone, because I don't trust easily, obviously, and I don't want to be put in a vulnerable position, or it's just very hard to let your guard down and to be that vulnerable and open with somebody. And there was a weekend when my ex had my boys for the weekend, and an old friend who I'd got back in contact with, who was always, I felt, a very good friend. We got along well. He was really funny. I had zero interest whatsoever in him. There was no attraction. There was nothing. I never ever thought of him as more than a friend. And he drove trucks, delivered stuff, etc. on longer drives, and there was a time where he had to go to a place that was about 4 or 5 hours away, and we'd been talking, so he knew I had no plans for the weekend, and he knew I didn't have kids, etc. And so he asked if I wanted to go for a drive with him. And he was staying overnight. He had to take a load up, drop it off, and then drive back. And he was staying overnight with a couple that was an older couple that were friends of his. And, he said they're really nice, and, you can stay as well, and they're happy for you to come, and blah, blah, blah. So I decided to go. I thought, why not? My face is probably going to go red because it's hot in here and I don't have the aircon on or the fan because it's too noisy. So I went with him. We just chatted on the drive. It was a really beautiful drive. It was lovely. And where we were staying was winter time, and it gets quite cold there. Sometimes snows just a little bit. And we had dinner and we talked, and they all had some drinks. I didn't really drink at that time, and I've never really been a drinker. I did when I was younger, as I said, but I'll talk about that in another one where I had a bad experience with alcohol, so I stopped drinking, and then I didn't start till I was like 30. So I didn't drink, but we went to bed, and it was a room that had 2 single beds in it. So we were in separate beds, and all of a sudden he got in the bed with me and said, "Oh, it's freezing," kind of huddled up to me, and I froze. He was drunk, and I didn't know what to do. And things happened. I didn't stop it. I didn't want it. He was drunk, and I didn't know how he would react if I said no. So I basically froze once again. And we drove back the next day, and I hardly spoke to him on the way back, which was awkward because it was like a 4 to 5 hour drive. And then, just checking the time, then I freaked out so bad, and I knew I had to get rid of him. I didn't want anything to do with him, and I didn't know how to do it. It's very hard for me to feel like I'm being mean to somebody, or to tell them to leave me alone, or things like that. And it was it was really hard then. It's not now. But I excuse me, I basically started texting him nonstop because I knew if I acted like a really clingy person that wanted more than he wanted, that would get rid of him. So that's kind of what I did. And I never heard from him again. So yeah, it was very hard for me to feel safe with males, and it was very hard for me to want to be intimate with them. It was very hard for me to open up to them. I had these really thick walls up, and I was not letting anyone in. That's how I felt. And then, as I said in the last one, I met my ex-husband on a text chat thing, and I will stop this one and start again just because it's nearly at 10 minutes and continue on. Bye.